Hi guys, it's Mrs. Kushner, and today we are going to take a look at part 2 of asking effective questions. So make sure you have your notes ready to go. These are actually going to be the same notes you used from part 1. You're just adding on to them since it's the next section of the exact same topic. Ready to go? All right, let's get started then. In this video, you are going to learn the second 2 levels of thinking. As a reminder, we're talking about the levels of thinking that we learned about last video from Bloom's Taxonomy. We've already talked about what it means to remember and understand, and now we're adding on by talking about what it means to ask an apply question and what it means to ask an analyze question. Now, why does this matter? Just as a refresher, this matters because when you are able to create questions and answer questions at different levels of thinking, it makes that topic more interesting, it helps you understand that topic better, and it helps you remember that topic better. When we talk about applying, what we really mean is, do you know how to use that information? Do you know how to do something with the information at your disposal? So I put a little chemistry beaker there because the act of doing a science experiment is applying what you know to actually complete the experiment. So if we look at examples, if I ask you to find information on a topic, what I'm actually asking you to do is apply research skills. And so that is a form of an apply question. If your math teacher says, what would the result be if this said 2x instead of just x? You would have to resolve that math equation, but with 2x. And so by resolving it, you are applying your mathematical knowledge to get to the answer of that question. So you are applying what you know. Similarly, if someone says, how would you XYZ, they are asking you to apply what you know to answer the question, how you would solve that problem. Could also be illustrate the steps of something, or really cool version of apply, write an interview with, let's think of The Giver. Write an interview with Jonas about his escape from the community. To do this, you're going to have to do a lot of things. You do have to understand what happened in the plot and remember it. So you're already using those first 2 levels. But then you have to actually apply it to an interview where you're writing about it. You have to understand the vocabulary and lingo that Jonas is going to use. In The Giver, they have a lot of unique wording that we don't use the same way. You're going to have to understand that vocabulary and then apply it to this interview to truly make it sound like Jonas. And you have to make sure his answers sound authentic. Talk about a cool activity that's going to ask you to think at different levels and apply what you know about those thinking levels. All right, next step is analyzing. So when you analyze something, you break it down, or you compare it to something else. So our clue phrase here is compare and contrast. And our symbol is a magnifying glass because you use a magnifying glass to closely examine stuff and analyze its parts. So example questions for analyze would possibly be, what other ways could you something? So when I give you 2 sentences to combine and you combine them, and then I say, great, you got it right. What other ways could you combine those sentences? I'm asking you to analyze the information to come up with a new solution. Next, if I say, what is similar and different about 2 things? You have to analyze the 2 things to see where they are the same and where they are different. This could also be something like, what kind of person is so-and-so, or what caused this character to act the way he or she did. So what caused, from Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, what caused Stacy to act the way he did when he found out TJ was about to cheat on the exam? You have to really look closely at Stacy and analyze the evidence in the book to see what kind of character he is, to be able to explain what made him act that way. All right, so let's take this and combine it with remembering and understanding to see how these ideas fit together. So if remembering and understanding is the right there questions, these are the questions that you can go into the book, you can look at the page, and you can find the answer right there on the page in black and white. Applying and analyzing takes it to the next level. These are thinking questions. So you are going to go back to the book probably, or back to the textbook, or back to your notes, and you are going to look at the information, but you're going to then have to do some additional thinking on top of that. You're not just finding it and plucking it out of your mental storage cabinet, your mental file cabinet of information. You're pulling the information out of your mental file cabinet, and then you're taking it a step further. You're using it, you're applying it to something, or you're analyzing information with it. So you're breaking it down into its smaller parts. All right, in this lesson, you have learned the next 2 levels of thinking. Now, take action. Write a question about today's lesson on your notes. If you don't have a question because you already knew this, it was easy to understand, then go ahead, find where you think your classmate's going to get stuck, and write a question that you think your classmate would have instead. Great work today, and I will see you next time for the final lesson on asking effective questions.